is if you have a question on this, because we're getting a lot of questions that are coming in on our 311 or County Click, we should be able to get back to you in real time on the answer to a question like that. So in addition to what Derek has told you, is we're going to make sure that we send it to Barry Stanton, who's our Deputy CAO for Public Infrastructure. But also remember, anything you send to us on 311 or County Click, that way we can track it. So that way, if I come into a meeting here and it's not answered, and you show me your tracking number, I can, as I'm sitting there, call the people and say, what happened to the answer to this question?
Yep, perfect. So don't forget, we track these. 311 County Click is tracking the answers to these types of questions as well. So please over ask and put it in, and we want to make sure that we have a consistent response to that. Give me. Did you?
It's in reference to that, because if the trash is on Thursday and you're scheduled for a Friday pickup, is it a ripple effect for the people on Friday?
Nah. If Friday remains Friday. If Thursday was a holiday, because Thanksgiving is the most unique reality, it's typically the Monday holiday, and everybody is on Tuesday. And I'll say this: at first, it might have been a little challenging, just like everything was the first period of time. It should be getting better. It should be getting better. The toters. Someone asked a question about the toters. There isn't a specific or definitive date that I can give you with regard to your toter right now. I do expect that when the director of the Department of Environment comes before us in September, he should be able to give us an update with regard to distribution and expectation. All right?
Hold on. They should be able to give, they asked for it, they should be able to get that answer now as to where we are in the process. Right. So
come on.
He's right. Hi, how are you doing?
Matter of fact, just jump on in. You might as well stay up here at the mic with me now.
I did not wear a jacket on purpose. You should be able to, the same thing on 311 County Click, you should be able to ask that question and get an answer as to where we are in the process of getting the toters out to the various neighborhoods. I was in the southern part of the county earlier today, and someone was telling me about the challenges of the going to a single day pickup, but I asked her, did she get her toter, or trash can as I call them, because I'm unsophisticated, and she said yes. But we should be able to tell you where we are in the process. And so since we're having this meeting tonight, what we'll do, let Councilmember Davis know, is that we'll send it back, right, Nick, to Barry Stanton and get him an answer if we know exactly where you are. So either 311, you can make sure Nathaniel raise your hand, Nathaniel, because see, this is it. He gets to shine today. So like all your issues and problems, he's just writing down. He's so happy. He's like, I can't wait to take this back to the agency and watch him get right on it. Right, Nathaniel? Right. So Nathaniel's writing it down, and what he misses, Chris Wallace, raise your hand. There's Chris. He's young, hungry, a lot of energy. So he's writing this down. So what I don't want to happen is, he's right, he's going to have Adam Ortiz come before his committee. But I don't want us to wait until then. Right. Anytime there's an issue, the reason we have these mechanisms, especially 311 and County Click, is so we should be able to get answers quickly. If they're not, the council member, the chair, certainly can push us, but also he's going to go to Nathaniel. Nathaniel's going to go to Nick. Nick's going to go to the DCAOs who are in charge. Tom's got like every agency, I think, but this one, so I'm surprised.
Thankfully,
yeah, he's waiting for the questions about him, but we want to make sure you get the answers.
Stay up. Yeah, here you go. This is a good one, and as a matter of fact, pretty much all of the trash questions, that's the answer. There are two ways that we need to anticipate this. As Mr. Baker said, let us know, let them know. On 311, let Mr. Tutt know. And I want to get you guys, and the reason that I said that Adam's coming to our committee of the whole is because I want to get you guys to start paying attention when that shows up on the agenda, so that you turn on the TV, so that you hear the answers in real time as we get them on the council. So that's why I'm pushing you to listen to our committee of the wholes and things like that are online.
Right, and I'm pushing you to 311 and County Click.
That's right.
Because in order for us to make this system that we invested county money into, so that we can respond to issues in real time. But the only way we're going to know whether that works or not is if you call in, you send an email in, and then if you don't get a response and you let us know, or I come to a meeting like this and you hold up a piece of paper like some people do and say it's not here. Normally we'd have somebody from county staff, 311 or county clerk here. But we're gonna make sure, we wanna make sure we're getting these information in real time. And just for background, I'm sure you went over it. I mean, the reason we went to the 1 day a week was because this is not something we did, just last year. For 5 years during the budget, this issue has come up and we worked with it. We wanted to do the research. We wanted to see what other counties were doing, similar situated jurisdiction. We knew there'd be some glitches, but this is something that is beneficial to the county. It saves us around $6 million. Every other jurisdiction is doing this because of not only saving, but because of environmental issues. So we want to make sure it works though.
So that's a perfect, I think Mr. Baker kind of answered the question with regard to trash and why we decided to go to the 1 day. And this cost savings is one of the things.
Right.
Effectiveness, efficiency, utilizing the recycle program also is something that helps cost savings with regard to the county. And someone asked the question just straight up, with the increase of several of the budget items in the budget, do you foresee a tax increase?
That was me.
That would be. Would you like a tech? No.
Right.
That would be no. One of the things that we've tried. Let me just say this.
Watch out what you ask for.
At least about this administration. I can only speak when we were here. We have cut the budget for the 5.5 years I've been here as county executive. We've cut the budget by every agency. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. By 2 to 5% every year, with the exception of education and public safety. Those are the two agencies that we have saved. We made cuts. This is the first year in the budget that I think because we're anticipating the revenues from the gaming and tax revenues have gone up. Because of the investments we've made in economic developments over the last 5.5 years, we've gotten some money increase. So we're actually added more to the budget, made it easier. But we haven't raised revenues. The one time we did, we had a spirited debate. It was a couple of years ago. It was like last year. I think it was last year. It felt like yesterday. Was for education, and that was to do a 15-cent increase. We ended up doing 4. But you have to remember, that money goes directly and solely to education. No other increase in terms of tax revenues was proposed by this administration. We don't plan to. We're living within our budget. So when people hear stuff like it, we talk a lot about Department of Permits, Inspection, and Enforcement, the new Department of the Environment. All of those were done in existing resources without having to hire new staff. Now, that don't make everybody happy, because there are people who have been under. But as long as, and the good news, and we're going to get to this, the good news for us, the good news for us in the county is the sacrifices we've made is going to pay off. Because you're in downtown Largo.
That's right.
I guarantee you,
That's right.
Largo won't look like the way it looks now 3 years from now.
That's right. That's right.
If you have property in Largo, don't sell that sucker.
That's right. That's right.
You heard it from here. Do not sell. If you have property in Suitland, do not sell.
That's right. That's right.
This is going up. You're in this area right here. That hospital's coming.
Yep.
I might have to have a fight with that guy.
We'll deal with it.
Anyway,
We'll deal with it.
the hospital is coming. The government office buildings here. This is an attractive place, and so whether in fact we get the FBI over here at Landover or at Greenbelt, either way, this area right here is going to be a booming downtown area. So it's going to raise our revenues. The same thing, everybody focuses on MGM and the money coming from MGM. That's just one part of it. And that's not even like the biggest part. It's everything going from the southern part of the county all the way up. The things that are happening on Route 1, that's more revenues coming in. So it means for us, and this is what I was explaining to the council, even if we had done the increase for education, it would allow us to actually cut. We're going to be able to, it won't be the Baker administration, so everybody will talk about me. They're like, that Baker didn't cut our taxes at all. So the next person coming in is going to be able to say, I'm proposing like the guy in Anne Arundel County. I'm proposing, a property tax cut. And the reason he can do that is because they're actually giving revenues in from commercial taxes. So
That's what we're building on, right?
that's what we're building on.
I think.
And as a resident, I'm happy, because, I won't be county executive, but I'd like to have.
I think if you stay in that vein and deliver some of the other thoughts that you might have had, it would be helpful. Then we can do some of these more,
Let me talk about, and I won't be long because I know I'm late. Let me talk about 3 things that are exciting to me. One is we talk about downtown Largo. I mean, I know Councilmember Dean and Davis, everyone has talked about what's Largo going to look like. And that work didn't just start with the Baker administration. It actually started beforehand with people who have been working on this, putting things into place. What has helped us further along is the hospital. Bringing in a $750 million institution, teamed with the University of Maryland Medical System, one of the best medical systems in the country, bringing the second busiest trauma center here is not just bringing a regional medical center to this area. It means along with that, office buildings. In fact, we were in discussions today talking about doctor's office that we can bring to Prince George's County, ancillary services that will come to Prince George's County. And so with just the conversation about the hospital, people are developing. Tapestry and other places are going up. In addition, over the years, the council and the county executive, we've actually started to buy buildings like the one we're in so we can house government employees around this area so you get critical mass. All of that means that the owners of the Cap Center, the Boulevard, now they're excited and they're going to invest. But the thing that we have to be mindful of and vigilant about is we started off this conversation talking about a regional medical center that was second to none. My issues, and you'll see it in the papers, and I'm not shy to say it, my issues with the governor is when we started this process, before he became governor, the conversation was having a regional, first-class rural hospital center right here, teaching hospital center, trauma center in Prince George's County. So that's what we expected. We pay taxes.
That's right.
And my issue with them is them wanting to build something less than that. That is not what we want to anchor the development there. And so when you hear the back and forth about the county and the governor's office about the size and scope of the hospital and whether they can shave off $100 million, which sounds like, oh great, they can shave off $100 million. No, what that means is we won't have the capacity to get the people who are going to DC or the doctors. We did this on purpose to build a type of facility and revenues that we need in the state and we need in the county. So we're going to fight hard. The council and I are on accord with that. Yep. We're battling with them to make sure that we don't do something in this county that's going to leave us short, because that's a major economic development piece of it. The other place, and I talk a lot about this, and it doesn't necessarily hit this group as hard.
The heart of the county.
The heart, yeah, this is the heart of the county, and that's why we're bringing everything here. But another part of the county that I like is Suitland.
Right.
And the reason that I like to talk about Suitland is that's a development that we have been trying for years to just jumpstart. We've invested money before I became county executive, but what we made sure we've done in the $50 million that we put in the budget this year, right, Tom? And overall, what have we put since we've been in office over there?
The county's invested over $100 million in Suitland.
Over $100 million in Suitland to turn that into an arts, to a development around the arts, and will allow us to not only take advantage of the fact that we have a government entity there with the Census Bureau, but we're bringing more government jobs there. We're going to redevelop that area. You're a stone's throw away from DC. So that's going to be one of the hottest areas here. It's going to help us in the county. Glen Arden. We're working on redeveloping the apartments around Glen Arden, throughout Westphalia in this district. So those are the areas where Hampton Park, right. which when we started with Hampton Park, everybody told us you couldn't do that. You weren't going to get people to invest in Hampton Park. What we did was we anchored it with a government facility. We brought all of our health and human services into one location, into Hampton Park. We went to Las Vegas for the Shoppers Conference and convinced them to invest in it, so that there's no part of Prince George's County where we're not seeing development. It means $7 to $8 billion worth of development are going to take place over the next 5 years in this county. That's not including the FBI. That means we will have more development taking place in our county than any other place in the state has had at one time. And every part of the county will benefit from that. Whether you're in Suitland, whether you're in Mount Rainier, whether you're in Largo, whether you're in Westphalia, Conterra, it's everywhere. So we're excited about that. The other thing, real quick, public safety. Public safety for us, we've seen crime decrease. Even with the numbers being slightly up this year in terms of homicides this year, we're still down from where we were years ago. So that public safety helps us. And our education system, we're making improvements. But I'd like to see a new Largo High School, yes. I think if you're going to develop around here, you have to develop, the Largo High School. We have to make sure that we have high schools and middle schools that are second to none. But we also need to make sure we have the caliber of teachers and principals coming here. So we're making those types of investment. The last thing I'll say, two last things. One is the $50 million Economic Development Incentive Fund, which sounded like an insane idea when we started it 5.5 years ago, has worked brilliantly. It allowed us to keep some companies that were about to, major employees that were about to leave, and it has allowed us to attract employers here. The last thing that I'm most proud of this administration is our Transforming Neighborhoods initiative. And that is to focus on those areas in the county where we have our most challenges. Because if we can get those areas to rise up, then the whole county rises up. And we're starting to see that happen, so much so that several areas, 3 of our areas have graduated out of, and they didn't want to, graduated out of our Transforming Neighborhoods areas. And that's because we're seeing crime decrease, economic development happening, transportation, healthcare. So those are things that are making this county, as I was just at an event earlier, and we had several people, not from Prince George's County, from our surrounding jurisdictions, that were coming up and saying, wow, it is real, you're doing a great job over there. And I said, because I do everything myself, I said, thank you very much. I don't know what the heck you're talking about, but thank you. It really means, and I say that because I know, because I don't think I can say it. I say it because, I don't think people thought that we were going to make the type of progress we've made in these 5.5 years, or that this place would be as attractive to not only residents, because we always were attracted to residents, but to businesses coming in here and the type of businesses. And that's what we want to continue on. That's right. All right.
Now,
that was a long soliloquy.
he had a long soliloquy to answer some questions, but give him a round of applause for it. And I'm going to ask him to stay up here with me. I'm going to ask Mr. Baker to stay up here with me, because quite honestly, and this is something that you got to understand, a lot of people like to see confrontation. They like to see, as a matter of fact, I can tell you who really likes to see confrontation. People who live outside of Prince George's County. They like to watch us fight. But what they know is that when we get together and we start as the legislative branch and the executive branch working with the citizens, that there's no jurisdiction around here that can compete with us. Mm-hmm. They know simple things like we have land. It seems simple to people, but Montgomery County doesn't have a lot of land to build on. Washington, D.C. is saturated. They can only go up. In Prince George's County, we can go out and up. Understand. And if we do it synergistically and smartly, ultimately what will happen is our tax base will normalize. Here's another real axiom that is consistent right now. Montgomery County's tax base, commercial, you know what a commercial tax base is? When businesses pay into your revenue stream versus their residential tax base. You know what your residential tax base is? When you pay into my revenue stream. You understand that? Everybody understand the difference? Everybody clear? Montgomery County's commercial revenue stream is about 60 to 70%, and their residential is 30 to 40%. We're upside down. Ours is the exact opposite. That means you pay more in collectively than our businesses do. That's why we have worked feverishly in the economic development space across the county. Now, there was a question someone asked about Central Avenue. It's not a joke when I say we are the heart of the county. If you heard Mr. Baker talk, how many of you know where Conterra is? It's in Laurel, right? How many of you know where Accokeek is? It's all the way down the other end of the county, right? We're right in the middle of the county. Westphalia sits on our southern border, right? Largo Town Center kind of sits on our northern border of the central part of the county. Central Avenue, who asked about Central Avenue? Central Avenue is going to benefit in spades because it's Central Avenue. And not just because of all of this stuff that we're doing here, but also because of Hampton Park.
Right.
The redevelopment of what used to be, how many of y'all been around long enough to know Hampton Park when it was Hampton Mall? And yeah, that's right, when you used to have a Zare in the parking lot, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? Getting ready to be redeveloped. The whole entire, and we're getting ready. How many of you heard Mr. Baker say soon there will be county government to join the hospital here, right here at Largo? The building right down the street, the new home of the CAB. Something that we've been trying to do for 15 eons.
That's where you'll come see them.
As opposed to trekking to Upper Marlboro, you can trek where? To Largo.
You can catch the Metro.
You can bring, yes, that's right. You will be able to catch the Metro. Citizens of the county will be able to join us in the beautiful heart of Prince George's to do what they need to do to conduct business. This is very real. This is unprecedented, and the time is unprecedented. The other thing that's important, where's Ms. White, Ms. Taylor? They often ask about jobs. Every time we create an economic development engine, new jobs are created.
How many jobs do we create this?
Tom Himmel?
The last 2 years, we've added almost 8,000 jobs in the county, and almost every year since we've implemented the Economic Development Fund, we've added jobs. And we're still catching up. And just what Chair Davis and County Executive said, why that's important is this is why we have money. To create jobs, close to income. Our residents work here. They live here. They don't have to travel an hour each way. So there's all sorts of benefits of it, and if we continue this success, it generates more taxes for us. We can reinvest, improve our education, lower crime. And that's the whole goal. I mean, as we attract and a number of more businesses, but we're focusing on trying to grow our existing businesses. That's where a lot of our focus has been. And we're working on some ideas now, like with 1301, the new building. What we're going to do is restrict the renovation to county-based firms. We're not going to let out-of-county firms on that project specifically. And we're working on the Hampton Park building as well with the developer to have local businesses actually build that or fit it out more so in that case. But that's the idea, because we want our local businesses to hire local residents. They then buy a house, invest in the community. They're invested here. Their kids go to school here, and it's all quality of life. So there's been a method to our madness for 5 years. For 6 years now, of what we've been focusing on. And we focus on creating business and creating opportunities for local businesses. You're seeing the benefits of it.
And the only thing I would add, and Derek talked about it, and that is Central Avenue. One of the reasons that and it was hard to do, I'm sure if you sit down with Councilmember Dean, he can tell you, getting private developers to come into Hampton Mall was not easy.
That's right.
They didn't want to do it. And you had a church that actually bought it, was working there, and bringing them together with the private sector was hard. But the thing that we said as a county is that's too important a stretch of a major thoroughfare for us to give up on. It's coming from DC to Prince George's County. You can't have it where there's no development there. And so we committed, and it was hard. We committed our Economic Development Incentive Fund, so we're taking a lot of risks as a county. We push the faith community, the church to develop and understand how we're going to do this. And we committed to having a county building so that you don't have a major thoroughfare in Prince George's County where it should be developed, where it was activities in the past, just there with boarded up things. It's gonna redo that, but it's also gonna show people that you can actually do these difficult projects throughout Prince George's County. That's one that's gonna benefit this whole area. We were trying to get, the first year we went out to Las Vegas, you know, I tried to get Harris Teeter to look at that. And he laughed at me. And I didn't think it was funny because Harris Teeter was opening up on Pennsylvania Avenue.
That was fair work.
So that man there was trying to tell me that, oh no, we open on Pennsylvania Avenue because the demographics have changed. I was like,
I'm gonna have touch. Deal with this.
because they had not changed. What they were anticipating was the city was investing in that area, so it was gonna bring economic development. Well, we're investing in this area. I tell you what,
I got it.
almost 6 years later, they're not laughing now. Now they wanna come out here and talk to us about going to areas. But we had made the same commitment to revitalizing our communities, making sure we reduce crime as DC, Northern Virginia, and Montgomery County. You know, and so what we had to do was show them by saying, you know what, we'll take the risk. If we don't have enough belief in ourselves to invest our own money, nobody else is. And we did it, and it's paid off. So now people want to come in here and invest. But now we can actually say, okay, well, here's what we want to see, which is why we can take on about the hospital. You know, 10 years ago, if they said they came here and they want to build a small hospital, we'd say, thank you, just build something new. Now we're like, oh, nope. Here's what we want. Here's the standard we've set. And that's the way we're going to be on everything. Here is the standard we've set for this county. This is what we're willing to accept, and we know our power.
And as we transition, the reality is that's the only way we bring our citizens and keep our economic power in the county. It doesn't happen if we build too small.
And
And
let me just say, so this is why they didn't want me to come.
oh no, this is why I wanted you to come, because I got all the questions for you.
So for the last one I'll answer, for MGM, now I'm very straight with people. You know what? I don't gamble at all. My wife won't allow me because I ain't got no luck. So I don't gamble, I don't believe in gambling. What I said though, if you're gonna bring a resort here, and I do mean resort, there's a standard it has to meet. It can't look like what I see in other parts of this state. Which is why the only place I was willing to support was one at National Harbor because it's an entertainment facility, and two, it had to be $1 billion. Because if you spend $1 billion of your money,
You won't care.
on something, you're going to make sure it's top flight. And you are also going to make sure that if the market goes down in terms of table games and slot machines, there's something else that are bringing people to that facility. I guarantee you, what we're doing down there will bring people for entertainment value. It won't just be about the slot machines and table games, which I don't go near anyway. But it will be about an entertainment that's international. But you had to set the standard and be willing to lose. I was willing to walk away from the deal. They were too, if it wasn't what we wanted. And that's what we have to be on every single deal that we do here.
And that's where we are. So what we're looking at now, and I got some questions from my good friends at Forest Run HOA, and they're talking about Forestville and District Heights, and we're talking about store closings. And it says a Safeway, and I think the Safeway was in Capitol Heights, wasn't it? Pizza Hut, Staples, Old Community Bank, Chase Bank, M&T, and Forestville High School are places that closed. There's some vacant properties that we want to take a look at, and there's some squatter issues that we are currently taking a look at. And you see nods of affirmation because most of these things are things that we are actually working on at this moment. So what I want to make sure I do with those questions is that, hold on, Shay, what I want to make sure with these questions, I want to make sure that we capture what's going on by ensuring that we direct you to the right folks to work through them. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little more extensively, and staff's going to direct you to, it's funny, because as I walked in, and the Economic Development Corporation's executive director was walking out. They're housed in this building. Jim Coleman, and believe me, we never would have got the Q&A if Jim Rashern and I were standing here. It never would have happened. It is the reality of it. But we have a lot of things that we're currently working on with regard to these types of issues. Someone asked about 311 and trash. We're gonna pull you aside because we're running out of time. So I'm gonna pull you aside, but I have your pieces handled here. My folks in Fairwood are having trouble with snow removal during the winter and trash in the summer.
Who wrote that question?
That-
Who brought up snow?
Snow?
Why did you do that? Man, I don't want to
Hey,
Man.
Rasher said, we don't want to see no snow.
see no more snow, man.
That's right.
Wait
That's
till
right.
the next administration.
Hey, look, so the real answer about snow is we praying for no snow. No.
Tom already spit the budget, man. He's
Yeah.
like, hey.
But Tom and we've actually had some conversations about this, and I see you already have Gwen Clerkley as reference on this piece, but we're working through that. I think we got to the part about trash and 311. You know what you need to do with regard to trash using 311 and County Click, and then keeping us informed when in fact that does not occur. When it does, was that the question?
Yeah, I have a resident in here, we have a resident in Sherwood, for 3 weeks they have not picked up her yard waste. And she
Oh.
has been a problem.
Michelle.
And Mr. Stanton.
And
Right,
so,
Nathaniel, you'll get everything. Yes, sir. Okay.
and so I think we got into the Regional Medical Center. Mr. Baker, did you want to elaborate any more about the Regional Medical Center?
It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be great. And you know what? I mean, I think
That was it.
it's going to be a game changer. But if we do run into roadblocks, you will
You
see
will
that
know.
both of us coming here and saying to you, the residents of Prince George's County, because it's your hospital,
That's right. That's right.
you know, it's our hospital, it's our money, that this is the standard we want. And we're going to ask you to talk to your representatives in Annapolis, but also to the governor. You know, this is 5 years in the
I see it,
making,
Cassandra.
so
Give
we
me a
want to
second.
make sure.
Is that help needed at this time?
Oh, hold on one quick second. You best
yet.
believe you will know when I need some help.
Yeah.
I will yell when help is needed with regard to that.
They're
What?
202 coalition now.
One more thing before I get to Cassandra. So there was a question here, and I'm trying to piece it together with regard to the public schools. But it seems that they no longer have. Oh, it looks like a curriculum type of question. So it's a cut in civics, cursive writing, longhand. Who wrote that? Somebody, Miss Daisy. Okay, go ahead, Miss Daisy. I couldn't tell the hand right. Go with it.
I don't know why they are tearing the school system up. These children can't count. If you don't believe what I'm saying, go to one of these fast food restaurants. They can't count your change. If those machines go down, they can't
That's
count.
what-
Let me,
I got a 9-year-old granddaughter right now. When I go and buy something, she's whispering in my ear how much change I'm supposed to get back. I go to the fast food restaurant, my bill comes to $2.53. I give them $5.53. They can't count that.
you know, here's what we're going to do.
It's wrong.
Okay, so on the Ms. Daisy, we got, also on the policy issues dealing with education, there's 2 areas we're going to make sure, Nathaniel, that we get to you. One is, I've got an education liaison, Tahani Colazo, who works directly with the school system. The other is that we have a commission set up at the county executive level, the Commission on Excellence in Education. And we actually meet with the school system around policy issues. So I'm going to make sure we get that information to you so that we can work together on this. Are you going to bring a pie when you come? You still do?
Good try.
No, yeah, you do. The pie is good. But I figured since you were coming to the meeting. No, seriously. I mean,
They don't know nothing about the government. They don't know how.
but here's what we have to do. I mean, I'm very serious. That's why we actually, put together the education liaison to talk about the policy issues around what the curriculum at the school level is. And that's why we have two resources there. So the commission actually looks at what we're doing, not just in the county, but what's going on nationwide. And Tahani is our direct representative. So I'm going to make sure we get in touch with you on this. Because the other thing we have to be good at you know, we gotta be very specific as to what we're talking about. We can't talk in generalities, because you know what happens? When we do that, they give me general information. They say, oh no, our curriculum is on target. But if you say at Beacon Heights, this is what's going on. At Central High School, this is what's going on. I can tell you what's going on at Suitland. My kids graduated 5 years ago. But we need to be that, and we can't be unashamed to talk about and bring up those folks. If we know there's a bad principal out there and we need to raise that, or a bad administrator, then we want to be able to do that.
There's one more piece on just the question about domestic violence. We talked about that, and it was asked about information issued in schools. So that'll be another piece that we should work with Tahani and the crew on dealing with, or even what we could do, because it's starting to move into more of the curriculum. It's really what we're talking about is a curriculum reality. And so we'll kick the ball around with regard to that. You do realize that the county council and the Board of Education have two different responsibilities. And then the school systems administration has a set of responsibilities that fall under that. If we want to get to the right way of dealing with that impactfully, we got to get the right bodies sitting at the table around issues like Ms. Daisy just described. If in fact our kids aren't learning, it's a 50-50 balance. Some of that's home and some of that's school. And so we have the responsibility, and Mr. Baker courageously, and I'll say this, there were county executives that came before him who wouldn't touch the schools with a 10-foot pole except for to sign a check to send it over and say, now y'all figure it out. We actually went to battle and we got some of the responsibility. Matter of fact, we got all the darn responsibility pretty much of the schools. Folks said don't do it. So now what we have to do is skillfully and adeptly deal with the issues. And that's one of the reasons that we had that process of continuous improvement, so we could dig into how to get to the things like that, find out how to find resources inside of the system if they exist, reprogram them, or let you know it's going to cost more money than we have. And that's what we're doing. It's a process. It will not happen overnight. This is all a process, and we are committed to that process. So, wait, you got something?
The last thing I would say is, once a month I do what we call Citizen Day, which is actually across the street. And that is a time that anybody, this room, you guys know how to access the government. But if there's any of your neighbors that have an issue, they can call our office. They don't have to say what it's about, but if they tell us, we can get the right people in the room. But once a month over there at Largo, is it Largo?
Down the street, the
RMS building, I have Citizen Day, and anybody, it's a whole day, so anybody can come in. You have 30 minutes, you can tell us what's going on. We try to solve the problem right there, just like you do here. Or you can just say, hey, we don't really like what you're doing, but it's your 30 minutes. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that that's available.
Right, that's what I'm going to say. So Tut, do you know how do we get to Citizen Day? How do we know when Citizen Day is coming? What's the best way for folks to check to get to Citizens Day?
311?
311.
Yep.
Mr. Bro McIntosh? Yep. If you call 311 and ask about Citizens Day, they should be able to give you the answer. Okay? Or use County Click. Is anybody not able to use County Click?
311 doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I can say that I've been on hold 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I've been to your office how many times?
To Derek's office or my office?
Mine.
I watched the presentation of the council a couple of weeks ago, and even the county executive staff admit it's not working.
Well, you go.
Come on back.
Here's what. We didn't say it was not working. We said there are glitches in 3.1, but the only way that we know whether it's, because we're making sure the process works. The only way we're going to make sure that happens is to have feedback. So what I'd like to do is make sure we get exactly when you say 311 is not working.
I'll give you a perfect example. I called
Chuck, stand up so we can hear you. Your voice is getting drowned.
in July to make arrangements for a bulk pickup. You know when they told me they could pick it up? September 17th.
I'm sorry.
September 17th.
Relaunch is happening on the 16th of August.
Okay.
August, right?
I took the item, which was an organ, and took a sledgehammer to it, busted it up, and
So no one,
it's now in the landfill.
okay, so no one, okay, that's one we have to, check. Is anybody else had called 311 and it's not been returned?
No, I found a county quick 311 online, and every time it works.
Okay.
Online. County Click works better.
It worked. So 311, if you could do this for the folks, and I know your time is short, for the folks who've actually used 311 or tried to use it and it didn't work, if you don't mind making sure Nathaniel has that information so that we can follow up with.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, that's why he came.
He's young.
Cassandra, you had this. This is the last question. Cassandra, what you got?
My question is on one of the cards, but I'll read it because I have it typed here. Okay. Now, my question is regarding the regional medical hospital.
I think I saw that. Yeah. I think I just saw that. It was pretty.
What is the county's position on demands of the state health care commissioner to reduce the size and service?
Against?
What, the hospital plan from the original plan? I know what he's talking about that needs to be reduced, but you all response to the commissioner was that you would have a response modification by August 31st.
That's a good question.
So my question is, what are your plans? What's the status? Where is that going?
No, that's an excellent question. You know, we don't think the hospital needs to be reduced. That's the first thing that we reported back to the governor and to the commissioner, that this is not something we thought of, 3 days ago. We've been working on this with experts for 5 years. We purposely built the hospital with the space so we could attract, we lose, 25%, Tom?
25,000 residents.
25,000 residents. How many doctors who live in Prince George's County but don't use that hospital?
Quite a few.
Right. So the idea with UMS is to build a hospital that would attract it. What the governor person is doing is treating that hospital as if it's just a Prince George's hospital. The reason we were willing to pay into it as a county is so we could build a regional medical center in the second busiest trauma. So one, we're not in favor of that. Two, what we said is working with Dimensions, and the county and the county council, that was a meeting we're in today, is to make a counter proposal back to them and say, here's why. Because we don't want to delay the opening of it. The CON is important. This is something that happened at the last minute. But we think the hospital, not even think, the hospital should remain the way that it was drawn. I didn't draw it up. Councilmember, the chair didn't draw it up. Experts in the medical field drew that hospital up and built it around here. So that's why.
Are you saying you're going to wait until that August 31st timeframe, even though you've known all this time that you did not? And I agree.
No. What the law requires us to do is I, Rashawn Baker as county executive, and Derek Davis as the chair, we've sent the governor, we let the governor know, and we let his person know, we're not in favor of that. As the body, because you still have Dimensions, they're working on their response on how to craft it back to the Moffitt.
Right.
Because the healthcare commission, so that we don't get more delays. That's the problem, they're delaying it. So, but our response is we don't want the integrity of that hospital to be reduced. So we're sending a response back. If they come back to it and say they don't accept it, you're going to hear from us that we need to call the governor, call the people, call our representatives, and tell them we're not going to accept anything less. That's just crazy.
Right.
We have to explain to them why. I'm sure the reason why the governor is fighting it, they don't want us.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
What I was saying, County Executive, thank you so much for that. I totally agree. I've read through this, and I do not agree that there's suggested changes. What I'm saying is it would have been nice to have pulled us in a long time ago so that we could have really collectively, as a group, as a community, as leaders, and provided the details and made our voices heard. The problem is everything is last minute and we're trying to do damage control and catch up and run from behind. We got to start getting out in front.
Well, let me just say, and I totally agree with you, but here's the thing. This was not an issue. They've never raised, in the 5.5 years we've dealt with this, or even the 2 years this administration, the Hogan administration has been in there, they never once raised an issue about the scope and size of the hospital. In fact, we didn't even know it was going to be an issue to this new person announced to the newspaper, not to us, to the newspaper, that here's my problems with it. And so once we got that by law, because we have to still deal with the regulations in Annapolis, by law we have to respond from 3 parties. But they never came to us and said, when we were fighting about funding in Annapolis, hey, we think it's too big, you ought to cut $100 million. So they came to us the last minute. Here's what the restrictions that we have legally that we have on us is there's a process we have to go through that the state set up that has to be answered not just by the county, but by dimensions and by And so once we do that, and what we're hoping is that they're going to see, persuasive argument, the errors of their ways, and the fact that I'm crazy enough to come down there and hold everything up.
No. I got you.
No.
Look, Cassandra, thank you. Thank you, sir. Watch out.
I think I've just been kicked out.
No. Let me say this. What Mr. Baker doesn't realize yet is that this is the team of folks who will tell the governor politically what we can't say. Okay? We have a responsibility to go through the process. This wasn't something that we've been going through the process for 5 years. Cassandra, I'm agreeing. My point is this. We are doing the due diligence and all of the work that's required by the people who change the rules in the middle of the game. What we're saying to you is, if in fact they continue to persist and prevail at changing the rules, then we might have to make a political noise. We try hard to not have to make this a political issue, because this isn't. This is healthcare. This ain't a political issue. This is healthcare and economic development. And so, if the governor wants to play politics, then we'll deal with it differently. Right now, we're not saying that he is. He asked some questions because he has the right to through the Healthcare Commission. He required us to give him a response by a specific date. And believe me, when I say we're in recess, it is no recess. All day and night, we are preparing responses with very intelligent staff because that's required of us to do. If it gets beyond that pale, believe me, like I said earlier, we will yell and let you know that somebody is playing politics with our health care and our money. It's that simple. But understand, we have to follow the appropriate process, or they will say, oh, you're just playing politics. You see what I mean? And so that's why it may seem like this response has been a bit slow, or I don't know. I don't know that it's been a bit slow, because I've been working on it with Mr. Baker and staff ever since we got the Moffitt letter at, in the 15th hour while we're waiting to put a shovel in the ground for the hospital. So I understand where you're coming from, and I understand where our community is coming from. And I'm gonna close, Mr. Dean, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the last word as I typically would.
In order to kind of bring this to some conclusion, everything that the state does, they have to have something here. And therefore, why don't you allow the community to understand that here is coming? So therefore, they look and be able to show support of the fact that this is a trauma center, it should remain a trauma center.
That's right.
It should be reduced, but we should not be held harmful.
That's right.
For what went before this hospital. Because the dimension is being held as
That's a hostage. That's right.
whatever we do.
That's right.
And as far as I'm concerned, the dimension doesn't exist anymore.
It's about to be
And I
arms.
think that the community has to be
Cognizant.
engaged, because I believe raise all the time here and what really is about the fact that we should have known that the blood was coming down to the heart versus the mysterious one.
That's right. That's right.
I think is that there has to be a
That's right.
and maybe we give us a whole
So, thank you, and Mr. Dean, thank you. Cassandra, thank you. Oak Creek, thank you. Fairwood, thank you. Fairfield, Forestville, everybody, look, be prepared, because what Mr. Dean just articulated may soon be our reality, okay? And I need you to stand ready. if that does occur. Okay? Thank you, and go home and drive safely.